Kakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Yoma Daf Amud Aleph 74a1. So yesterday we were speaking about when we started the new Perek that on Yom Kippur, what are the things which are going to be prohibited? And then we said when we just started that it was according also to Rabbi Akiva that argues on Chachamim, and he says Adam oser atzmo bechol shu, which means that even though when they swore stam, they said there wasn't a kavanah that they were going to prohibit upon themselves, right? It wasn't going to be prohibiting upon themselves even a chetzi shiur. But since he's not sworn from Har Sinai on chetzi shiur, it is chal l'shavua because now he's being swearing in on chetzi shiur. If you're going to tell me, Kevan de itle heter min haTorah kacha el korban shavua, from the fact, yeah, you listening, yeah? For the fact that since we say, right, that if there's a heter min haTorah, it is chal, right, the korban shavua, which means since chetzi shiur is mutar min haTorah, so it's going to be chal, right, the shavua, yeah. So he says that now we learned in the Mishnah, shavuat ha'edut. When we're talking about somebody that comes and they make him swear about testifying about a certain person, yeah, and now they're obligated on a korban. Because, for example, I come and I say, "Did you know about it?" You go, "No," and you really didn't know about it. So you're chayav a korban on shavuat ha'edut. Why? You testified falsely to me that you didn't know any testimony. It's like a subpoena. I subpoenaed you to come. I don't know anything. Oh, you don't know anything. You swear? Yeah, I swear. You did know about it. You're in trouble. That's no. General. Every single day of the year. If I come and I tell you, do you know about it? And you told me no, you're in trouble. And you know, you're in trouble. Because if you swear that you don't know, you have to bring korban shavuat ha'edut. But it says, ena noheget ela beruyin lai. But that's only if it's going to be that if you're fitting, which means that there was no psul for edut. V'avinam bas, so we asked the following question. Lemiute mai, what is it coming to exclude? Rav Papa comes and he says, Lemiute melech. This comes to exclude a king, right? That one of the witnesses was a king, right? Why? So he says because he's going to be patur, because anyway he cannot testify because of kavod malchut, which means that a king does not testify because of the kavod of the kingship, of the kingdom. So because of that, so therefore even if he's going to swear, nothing's going to happen, because at the end of the day, there's no problem. But Rav Yaakov says, "Lemiute mesachek bekuvia." What is mesachek bekuvia? People that gamble. If people gamble, they're pasul le'edut. They cannot testify. We don't accept. They're disqualified for testimony, right? Mesachek bekuvia. Yeah, you're hearing mesachek bekuvia. Okay. So ask the Gemara 1 second. V'ha mesachek bekuvia midoraita mirsechazi. Masechta Bekuvia, they are fitting midoraita, right, to come and to testify. But Rabbananu did pasu, but it's only the rabbis that they went and they disqualified them. So still, it's not going to be chal the shavua. Okay, so answers the Gemara. Shane hacha, it's different over here. The Merkabah says in a pasuk, im lo yagid v'hayla varagadahu klal. If it says that he cannot testify. And here it's not baragada. Here they can't do it. Why can't they do it? Because at the end of the day, he's not supposed to.
The gambler never agreed that he's a gambler.
It's true, but we disqualify him. We disqualify the. So we just said right now, Shane Hatam. It's different over there. We're on Ayin Daled Amud Aleph, a few lines down, where it says Shane Hatam. We're right after where we just spoke about the Masechet Bekuvia. We said it's different by Shavuat Edu, but the pasuk says Im lo yagid v'nasavono. So it's mashma that if he would be me'id, right, then it would help. So the high lavar agada uklal. So in this case, he wouldn't be able to say it at all, which means in this case he's already disqualified from testifying. So the fact that he's disqualified from testifying, so it doesn't help, right? Even the shavua on half of it, which means even though mitzad Torah, right, it would have been kosher. Right, but mitzad a technical reason it was not kosher because it was a king or because Masechet Bekuvia, right? But because of that, it's im lo yagid. It's only if he wouldn't have said it. Here, it's not the same halacha. So says the Gemara, v'chol heicha de'anush karet lo tani asur. Are you going to tell me that in any place where there's going to be a karet, it's not written asur? Meaning, because how do we start? We just said that Kippur is asur b'achila v'shtiyah, and the Gemara asked, Asur karet. What? So wherever it's an asur karet, it's not written asur. But Tanya, we learned in a Braita. Afal pi she'amru, even though they said asur bekulan, that Yom Kippurim is asur in all these 5 things. Lo amru anush karet ela lochev v'shotev v'tzom lecha bilvad. The only things which are going to be asur chayav karet is on eating and drinking and doing melacha, which means the other 2 things there's no chiyuv karet. So if a person wears shoes on Kippur, there's no karet, right? If a person, the only thing which is karet is eating, drinking, and other melachot, but nothing else is karet. Okay, so says the Gemara. So you see from here that when it's going to be asur is also on the achila u'shtiya, even though it has karet. So says the Gemara, hachi kamar. This is what it means to say. Keshamru asur, when they said asur, lo amru ela bekechetzi shiur. When do we say the word asur? It's only when it's chetzi shiur. When chetzi shiur means half of the measurement. If it's half of the measurement, then it's going to be asur. Aval keshiur anush karet. But if it's going to be keshiur, it's going to be anush karet. There's going to be a problem of karet. And even though there's going to be karet, and anush karet, the only karet is only if you're going to eat, drink, or do melacha. Asur is a chatzi shiur. Karet is shiur shalem.
Sick person need to eat less from chatzi shiur.
What? Of course.
Less from chatzi shiur.
No, usually it's a little bit less than a shiur. Okay? Second answer, if you want, you can answer another answer now. Why do we learn asur also on isur sheyesh bo karet? The right karet. The second answer is ki ketani asur ashara. You're right. We never use the word asur on anush karet. Anush karet is karet. The asur is on everything else. It's not on this. Okay, that means basically ashara on the other things except for achila and shtiya. For example, rechitza, sicha, right? That's what? Yeah, that's an easy answer. It's on everything else. Tetanu Rabba v'Rav Yosef v'shar sifrei v'Rav. Minay liyom HaKippurim. How do we know on Kippur that it's going to be asur b'rechitza, sicha, nilat tzan tashvi shavita? Tamlomar Shabbat Shabbaton, which is basically it's a shavot, which means that you have to be lishpot from all these tanugim except for achila v'shtiya, which means achila v'shtiya is going to be karet. All the other things is asur. There's no karet. It's only a nisur. Okay? That's what we're saying. Yeah. Okay. Now it says over here as follows. Okay. This is now it says over here like this. Gufa chetzi shiur Rabbi Yochanan amar asur min Torah, Shakish amar min Torah. Right. So basically, there's going to be a machloka now between Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish. Is chetzi shiur asur min Torah or mutar min Torah? According to Rabbi Yochanan, asur min Torah. According to Shakish, it's mutar min Torah. Rabbi Yochanan says it's asur min Torah. Because it's fitting to be mitzaref, which means you could combine them together. So isur akachi. So you're eating something of isur, and therefore there's isur Torah. The Shakish says it's mutar min Torah. Achila marachmana beleka. But the Torah is talking about achila, and there's no achila over here. Okay, so now Rabbi Yochanan is going to ask on the Shakish. Eitvei Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish says, ask Rabbi Yochanan against the Shakish. How do you tell me that it's mutar min Torah? Eli ela kol sheishno beonesh sheishno bazara. 1 second, we only have a case where anything which is going to be, right, anything which you're going to be chayav an onesh of karet, if you're going to eat it, so then in such a case where you're going to eat it, it's going to be asur min Torah. Yeah? So he says, however though, koi, right, what is koi? Koi is an animal which is a safek, whether it's a safek, whether it's a chaya, safek, whether it's a be'ema. So now, if you're going to have a safek, you're not going to be chayav if you're going to be the eating the chelev. Because remember, prohibited fats is only prohibited in an animal, not in a wild animal. Chaya is permitted to eat the chelev. It's only in a be'ema that you're not allowed to eat the chelev. So here, I don't know what it is. What is this koi? This koi is a wild animal, or is it a be'ema, domesticated animal? Since I have a safek, so therefore, I don't know what it is.
What is the
right?
name in English of the koi?
Kol chaya yesh chelev?
It just says there's a machloket tanaim what is koi, but it doesn't tell me. It doesn't tell you what it is.
It's a mixed breed. It's a mixed breed between a goat and a deer.
A goat and a deer, he said. Mixed breed. Yeah. Okay. So
Domestic
now
and
that's
not
the koi.
domestic.
Yeah. So that's why, because we don't know whether it's domesticated or wild. So says the Gemara, vechetzi shiur. Now chetzi shiur of this chelev be'ema, right? And there's no isur, right? There's no shiur of onesh karet. Hoil ve'eno be'onesh. Yachol eno be'azara. So I would have thought say that there's no azara also. Tamulomar kol chelev shor v'chesav ez lo tochelu. What does it mean kol? Kol is lerabot afilu kol shehu chelev lo tochelu, which means even though there's no karet, So there's a special pasuk which is teaching you that even a kulshu, even the chetzi shiur is going to be asur. So therefore, you see from here the chetzi shiur is going to be asur min Torah from kol chelev and all like Resh Lakish. Resh Lakish wanted to say the chetzi shiur is mutar min Torah. Here we say from the word kol chelev that even the chetzi shiur is asur min Torah. Not like Resh Lakish.
This koi, I don't remember exactly that. Where was
Midrabanan, really, the kavanah, the Braita is that this is only going to be asur Midrabanan. Ukra asmachta be'alma, but the pasuk is an asmachta. An asmachta means that it's not 100% that it's coming from the Torah. It's an asmachta. It's like I'm going to put it on the pasuk, but that's not what the pasuk really means. So that's called an asmachta. Asmachta is not right 100% from the Torah. So yeah, I'm putting it on pasuk, meaning I think that it's a asur, and I'm going to put it on the pasuk to learn it. Not that that's what the pasuk is actually teaching. Hachinam mistabra, it's also logical to say such a thing. Why? He says, "This kadaita doraita." But if you're going to tell me now that it's doraita, koi sfeikahu, it's a safek. So itzrikrala tu isfeka. What the pasuk needs to come and teach you something about a safek? You understand?
Don't do that.
Yeah, pasuk is not going to come start teaching you on a safek. Meaning, I'm going to write a pasuk in the Torah to teach you on a safek. It doesn't sound. Yeah, but it doesn't sound. So says the Gemara, imishum ha. If you're going to tell me that it's not a drasha gemura, lo idia, right? And it's not a proof, right? So he says shekasavre because they hold ayin daled amubet. Koi is a bidya bifnei atzmahi. That a koi is a bidya bifnei atzma, right? So it comes out that it's not that we have a safek whether it's a be'ema or a safek whether it's a chaya, meaning a safek whether doubt whether it's a wild animal or a domesticated animal, but rather really be'emet, it's a bidya bifnei atzma. Bidya bifnei atzma, no, it is a mix, but it's considered now a new breed. A new breed means, do you consider it a wild animal? Do you consider it a domesticated animal? Now we're saying it's neither. It's a new thing. The same machloket. Dilo tema haki, because if you're not going to say this, had amar Ravidi Baravin, that which Ravidi Baravin said, af kol, right? Also the word kol is latuye koi. Koi is sfeka, koi is a safek. Itzikra lebu is sfeka. Well, you're going to tell me that the pasuk needs to come and to include a safek? Ela bidya shani, but bidya is different. Hachenami, so too here, bidya shani. Bidya is different, right? Why? Because it's like a completely new entity in itself. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, te'anu nafshotechem. What does it mean that you have to afflict yourself? Maybe you have to sit in the sun, or you're going to sit in the cold, and that's how you're going to suffer. Maybe that's what you have to do on Kippur. You're not going to do any work. Just like melacha is shev al taseh, which means don't work. How do you not work? You sit and you don't do anything. You don't have to do you don't have to do active something. It's like a passive. So too inui nefesh is shev al taseh. So too it's going to be shev al taseh. Okay. Okay. So says the Gemara, now that we just said that Melacha is Shev al Taseh, Af Inui Nefesh Shev al Taseh. So says the Gemara, Ve'ema heicha diati b'shimsha v'chaim le. So he says, maybe I would say that if you're going to be in the sun and it's going to be very hot, Lo neima lakum tuv betula. So we're not going to come and tell him, get up and sit in the shade. Yati betula, but if he's in the shade, and he's cold, we're not going to tell him, Lo neima, we're not going to tell him, get up and go to the sun. So it says the Gemara, no, dunya de melacha, the exact same thing to do with the melacha. Ma melacha lo chalaktale. Just by the melacha, they didn't make a differentiation between the melachot asurot and everything. So too, inui lo tachlok bo. We're not going to also make a differentiation. Yeah, you guys listening? Yeah, also by the inui, we're not going to say the same thing, which means you're not going to say that it's going to be the asur bechol ofen. Okay, that's what we're trying to say over here. Okay. So we're not talking about a vinui of sitting in the sun or sitting in the cold, all those things, we're not talking about that. I would have thought to say the same braita, but again, it's another braita, the same order of idea. I would have thought to say that on Kippur, when it says you have to sit down, right, in the sun and start suffering, or you have to be in the cold and start suffering. Just like melacha is that you're going to be chayav in another place, so too inui nefesh chayvim alav b'makom acher. So he says, "Ve'i," right? Zeze. Right now, what is ve'ezeze? What is this exactly? So he comes and he says, "Ze pigul v'notar." This is pigul and notar, which means if somebody's going to eat basar, which is pigul or notar, all of the year round, he's going to be chayav karet. So the Gemara says, one second, avi pigul v'notar shem bekaret. It's going to be karet. V'lo avi et tevel shem. What about tevel? Tevel is not karet, which means if somebody's going to eat tevel throughout the year, it's not karet. right? Why? Because it's only mintia b'dei shamayim, but it's not karet. So therefore, how do we know that also on the tevel there's an isur of achila on eating on kippur, and you're going to be chayav karet? So says the Gemara, Tamul lomar te'anu ve'initem nashotechem. When it says te'anu nashotechem, and then it says in the pasuk ve'initem nashotechem, riba avia tevel. So therefore, it's like including. What is including? Avia tevel. I'm going to bring the tevel shu b'mitah b'dei shamayim. V'lo avia nevela, but I'm not going to bring a nevela which is not b'mitah b'dei shamayim. It's only a nisur lav, a negative commandment. So therefore, I would have thought to say, right, that even a nevela, which is bichlala yisur achilan yom kippurim, I would have thought to say that it's only going to be lashes. It's not mitah b'dei shamayim. It's not karet. So says the Gemara, Tamul lomar comes teach you te'anu v'initem nashotechem riba. Aviyat nevela. I'm going to include the nevela, which is going to be with a negative commandment, and I'm not going to include the chulin, which is not right. It's not going to be a lav. Tamul lomar comes teach you te'anu v'initem nashotechem riba. Aviyat chulin she'enam bekum ve'echol, right? V'lo aviyat truma shu bekum ve'echol. So I'm going to only bring to you something which is chulin, which you're not allowed to eat on Kippur, which comes to exclude, but remember that all the rest of the year I am allowed to eat it. Okay? But what about truma? Shibikum vechol. Truma is only mitzvah for the kohanim to eat it, right? And that's on the rest of the year. How do we know that it's also going to be asur to eat that on Kippur for the kohanim? Because there it's a mitzvah to eat it. Tamul lomar te'anu v'initem nashotechem riba. What does that mean? It's coming to include. Aviyet truma shena ba'val totiru. I'm going to include truma, which is not with bal totiru. Right, which is basically that I'm going to come and I'm going to. Bal totiru means that I'm lacking. Right, bal totiru means right that I'm not allowed to leave it over. So it says velovi to kochim, but I'm not going to bring the kochim, which is bal totiru. Tamul lomar te'anu v'initem nashotechem riba, that is coming to include. Okay, fine. V'im nafshecha lomar. Now, if you're going to tell me areu omer that it says v'avati et nefesh ahi, right, that I already got rid of this. Right, when it says I'm going to get rid of this nefesh, what is this inui shuva that the nefesh? This is somebody who's basically somebody that doesn't eat and drink. He could actually lose his life. Meaning, if somebody's not going to take a shower, he's not going to lose his life. But if somebody doesn't eat and drink, they can lose their life. So obviously, that's what it means. Right? What does it mean now? Right? What does it mean? If you're going to tell me now that we're talking about arayot, which means that the Torah is not talking about ichila or shtiyah, but rather it's talking about immoral relations. Okay? It already says that's only which means somebody doesn't refrain from relations, they don't die. But if you refrain from eating and drinking, you die. Right? So that's why we're talking about all these things. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Si tu ne manges pas, tu bois pas.
100%.
Bois 3 days.
Yeah.
Eating you can drink it for months.
No, even eating and drinking. Eating and drinking. If a person doesn't eat and drink, they die. So that's what we're talking about. The Rebbe Shmuel also taught. It says inui by both. We're talking about by Maseh b'nei Yisrael in the desert, because it says over there by just like over there we're talking about inui ra'avon, that they were hungry. So to here we're talking about inui ra'avon. That means we're making gzera shava, that just like over there in the desert we were talking about inui of eating, of the affliction of eating.
The same thing.
Same thing here by Kippur. So says the Gemara, the Neilaf. So why don't I learn from another place? When Lavan said to his to Yaakov, "In ta'aneh benotai, if you're going to afflict my daughters," which that means again tashvish hamita. That has to do with the relations. That if you're not going to give them relations, so answers the Gemara, "Daninu nui derabim, nui derabim, ven daninu nui derabim, ven nui derechid." There in the desert, it was for everybody. It was inui of rabim. The entire house, the entire community was suffering of not eating. Here, it was just talking about an individual, his daughters. So it's an individual. It's not the entire community. So that's why we're talking about one and not the other. What do we learn from Inui Mitzrayim? It says, "V'yaret onyenu." And we say, "Zo prishu derech eretz." We say that in the Agadah Shel Pesach. That when it says, "V'yaret onyenu," it's prishu derech eretz. So it says the Gemara, "Danin inui b'dei shamayim, inui b'dei shamayim, and danin inui b'dei shamayim, inui b'dei adam." It says no. There, it was from the human being, meaning the mitzvim caused us. So if it's a human being causing us to stop from the inui, here it's on Hashem because we were hungry, right? So you can't compare both things. So therefore, we're going to talk about everything which is comparing the both things together. So it says, one of them says, you can never compare somebody that he has bread in his basket to somebody that doesn't have bread in his basket. Somebody that doesn't have bread, somebody that he's always worried. I need bread, I need to eat. So he's always worried. Somebody that already has it, tranquilo, right? He's calm. Why? He doesn't have to worry about it. Okay?
Same with the husband that his wife is nida.
Exactly, 100%. One of them says, You can't compare somebody that could see and eats and say, right? Especially by Moroccans, you know that. How do Moroccans eat? With their eyes, not with their mouth. Right? A lot of people, no? How do the people eat? With their eyes, not with their mouth. What does it mean?
They don't know how to eat otherwise.
They want to see the shefa. They're going to throw away half the food. It doesn't matter. But they have to see it. If they don't see it, don't show them anything. Just give them to eat. No, they have to eat with their eyes. Right? They have to see it. They have to see the abundance. They have to see it. Okay?
Rabbi, we have to see 25 salads.
Yes, exactly. 100%. Yeah, Amar of Yosef says of Yosef, Nikan remez lesumin shochli v'entzrin. This is a hint that people could actually come, they could eat. Right? Imagine right now you have a blind person, he could eat, and he's not going to be satiated. Amar Abaye says, Hilkach, therefore, mandi lesuudata lo lech le'elbimah. If you have a suudat, only eat it during the day. Don't eat it during the night. Why? Because at least that way you're going to be full, because you're eating it during the day. Amar Bizera says, Bizera, Michael, what's a pasuk? Tov mareh enayim me'alech nafesh. It's better that which goes after your eyes from me'alech nafesh. Amen Shaki says that the same halacha applies even for the eyes, which means that people will benefit more from looking than actually doing the action of relations. The same thing, which means people prefer to look than to actually do the action. Yeah. So he says, so he says, how could he put his eyes in the cup and he's going to drink the wine? The opposite. When a person starts drinking wine, it causes a lot of bad things. Rabbi Yami of Rabbi Yasi, one of them says, if somebody's going to come and he's going to put, right? If he's going to put and he loves to get drunk, so then all of the arayot, meaning somebody that likes to drink a lot, he does all the arayot. He comes and he just does all the moral relations. Because he likes to drink a lot, he likes getting drunk. So he just comes and he does one after another after. One of them said, that if somebody's putting his in kava, and other people say that if he's drinking a lot and he's putting his eyes in other people's pockets, so then the entire thing, why? Because then he's going to be stealing. Because he's looking at everyone. Right? There's a question here: is it koso, right? Koso. Very good. So this is
not everybody is going to have the same reaction.
So that's what we have. So Bezrat Hashem tonight.